There is a big difference between raising a secure child and a dependent one. Giving your child or children everything that they want may seem like love, but can later create serious problems as they grow up to become adults. Let me explain. Hey guys, welcome back to the Anchor Show. My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to be talking about the controversial topic of spoiling your kids. I'm going to take a look at a few pros and cons of spoiling children. Now, many people, especially those who come from a difficult background, little struggles here and there, maybe a lot of struggles here and there. You come up with this idea of wanting to give your children more than what you had growing up. You want to give them a lifestyle that you never had, you didn't have growing up. And on the face of it, it sounds great. You want them to have all these wonderful things and experiences and all that. But is that harming your kids in the long run? Even in the short term, is it harming them, or is it doing any good for them, right? Let's explore that. The first pro for spoiling your kids, and when I say spoil, right? When you think of spoiling your child, a lot of times the first thing that comes to mind is materialistic things, right? Such as gifts and just materialistic things, and maybe some experiences as well. But spoiling them also could include doing for them tasks that they themselves must learn to do, such as, I'm going to just say something simple like tying their shoelace, right? They're off age where they can tie their own shoelace, but you're still doing it for them. Washing their dishes when they're more than capable of washing it up. Doing their laundry, making their bed. I'm talking about children that are off age to be able to do certain things independently on their own, but you're still doing it out of love, right? All of those things are part of spoiling, all right? So let's look at one of the pros of spoiling your children. When you spoil your children in every capacity, right? Gifts, your time, just doing for them, it brings, or it can create, a really close bond with you and your children. It gives them a sense of peace. It gives them a sense of security. It gives them emotional stability and regulation. They know and understand and feel what it's like to be loved and to receive love. And in some cases too, it can create a healthy friendship with your children. What I mean when I said friend as a child, it's basically you have this close relationship with them where you can still parent and hold them accountable and discipline when necessary, but you can also be goofy and make jokes and laugh and play games together and have that friendly bond, right? There's still boundaries that exist and understanding of roles and responsibility, so you as the parent, still you understand that you are a parent, you are an adult, and you will act as such. The children understand that they're a child or they're children, and that there's certain lines that they don't cross. But there's that openness, that friendliness, because what that does, it gives them a sense of freedom to express themselves. And when they have that freedom to express themselves, they're going to be more likely to come to you with problems. They're going to be more likely to discuss things that other children might be ashamed of or might find difficult to talk about, right? That is very, very important. I cannot overstate just how important that is, to have that type of bond and relationship with your children, to the point where it doesn't matter what they did, it doesn't matter how bad they did, they can still come to you and have an honest conversation, because they know, even though you might be upset and disappointed, there's still that support, right? And that's one of the pros of spoiling your kids. Now, a con to all of that is the child develops a dependency on you for everything, right? it could lead to a situation where they can't independently handle issues on their own, like emotional issues on their own, right? They have to be calling you on the phone to see, if you can assist them with a situation, because you've always been the safety net for them. You've always been that safety net. So once you remove yourself as the safety net, or you are removed for whatever reason, and they now have to function on their own, it becomes difficult, or it could become difficult. That constant indulgence in things and acts of services and so on, it weakens their emotional resiliency. And later on in life, you could see where small issues appears to be a big deal to them. It's like a mountain, right? A little hill appears to be like this gigantic mountain, because that emotional resiliency the level is very low, because again, you've always been that safety net for them. Because at the end of the day, what we have to remember about life is about balance. Everything in this life is about balance. If you have a child that just have an amazing, incredible life, no struggles, no difficulties, no hardship, no suffering, no setback, no disappointments, none of that, right? When life really starts to happen, how will they handle that? If they weren't gifted with a natural sense of resiliency, I want to say they could, but more than likely, they are going to struggle. They are going to struggle, because when you go through situations, when you go through a little difficulties, when you go through a little heartbreak, when you go through a little setback, a little disappointment, etc., even though you experience the feelings and emotions during going through that situation, and it's unpleasant or just uncomfortable, what it's doing, whether you realize it or not, it's building you up. It is strengthening your emotional capacity. It's increasing your emotional capacity. So yes, that moment was difficult, but you're learning from it. It's data. You're gathering data and information to learn from. So next time, you should theoretically be better equipped to handle that situation. Like somebody who goes through heartbreak, for example. The first one might be extremely devastating. The second one might also still be devastating, but maybe not extremely devastating. If there's a third, theoretically speaking, by the time you get to the third or fourth one, it should start to feel more like, okay, disappointing, but it's not, there's no devastation. You're not depressed over it, or, just, yeah. You're much better equipped in dealing with the situation, because you've gathered data from the first experience, that you store that in your subconscious, and then as you've progressed throughout life and it happens again, you are better equipped on how to deal with it. It doesn't happen like that for everyone, but theoretically speaking, for most people, that's how it usually goes. And so as it relates to your children, when they don't have any data in terms of struggle, in terms of setbacks and disappointments and things of that nature, when that does happen in life, especially if the first time it's happening is while they're adults, they're gonna have some issues. I have seen this with my own eyes. When I was in the military, dealing with young adults, I'll say that 18, 19, 20, 21, young adults, right? Some of these people this was their first time leaving home. They left home and they joined the military. Some of them completed high school and they stayed at home with their parents. And then they decided to join the military. And that was their first time leaving home. And now they have to function on their own. They have to make their own decisions. They have to live as an adult on their own, independently of their parents. And I saw it where some people just couldn't handle stress. They couldn't, the military is a stressful environment to be in. Some more so than others, right? Depending on your job and so on. But I saw where a lot of these people would break down and freak out over small issues. I can sit here and say that they're small. Many other people can look and say that that's not a big deal. But to them, it was. To them, it was a gigantic issue that they didn't know how to handle emotionally, right? And unfortunately, that lack of emotional strength and resiliency to deal with small things or even big things, I've also seen where it led to bad outcomes. Won't say exactly what, but I've seen where it led to the worst type of outcome you could think of. So that's a con about spoiling your children and sheltering them too much. Another thing to look at about spoiling, right? A pro of spoiling would be spoiling them with your presence and not with present. There's a difference between showing love and buying love. Huge difference, right? Because the thing about children, they want toys, they want gifts, they want all the materialistic things. They crave these things and they ask for them, and they won't stop until they get it. But the one thing that they want and probably need more than anything else is your time, your presence, your affection, your love, your interaction with them. They live for that more than they do for toys. How many times have you guys bought toys for your children or something materialistic that they asked for, wanted it so bad, they got it, and then in a matter of days, that thing is no longer important to them. They're playing with the box that it came in and not the thing itself. Seen it so many times, right? Because that's just how children operate. Their interest is short-lived. But and with that being said, a child will remember that one time when you took them on this amazing trip at this amazing destination and y'all had so much fun than that one piece of toy you bought them for Christmas when they were 5 years old. Facts. They will remember the experiences more than the physical things that they got, because the interest for those things are short-lived, but the memories created from the experiences it probably lasts a whole lifetime, right? So when you spoil your children in presence over present, that's a pro. That's a pro of spoiling them, right? You're giving them yourself. It helps in so many ways as they grow up, because they know what it feels like to be loved and to have, positive, healthy interactions. They feel seen and heard and not just, dismissed and ignored, but they received a lot of gifts, right? It really helps them later on, and it also helps them be good or even better parents when it's their turn to become parents. Another con to spoiling over spoiling is accountability and entitlement, right? So let me address the accountability portion first. When they're over spoiled or just spoiling, they just get everything, right? And if you're not teaching them how to be accountable in that, then that's going to blur lines and boundaries, right? When it's just like everything they want, like you're the yes man or the yes woman, right? You're the yes dad, yes mom. Everything that they want, yes, sure, you can have that, right? It erases the boundaries or the boundary lines that should exist between you and them, right? At the end of the day, you're an adult, they're children. So there should be a boundary line. Accountability is important. It's very important. When you don't hold your children accountable and teach them how to hold themselves accountable, then they become adults that are entitled, who feel as though they're supposed to get whatever they want, and then there's no accountability, right? If they everything is just supposed to come easy, right? You have to teach them reward and effort, the connection between effort and reward, right? They can't just get, little effort and get everything that you want. Because that's really not how life works. Let's be honest, that's not how life works, right? Nobody, or very few people can just say, oh yeah, I just sit back and be cute and things just come my way. Nah, there has to be some form of effort. In most cases, that's how it works. Again, that yin and yang balance of life. You put in the effort, you get the reward. But when they get more rewards than effort, then that's creating entitled beings. And there's not a whole lot more in this life that I can't stand than an entitled adult who feel as though the world owes them something and they're just supposed to show up and just get whatever they want without any effort or with very little effort, So that's a con. You have to teach them accountability, right? Manage their expectations, right? If they say, for example, your child is, let's say, a teenager and they ask for a phone, right? And you got them, I don't know, I think iPhone is at 17 right now, I think. Let's just say iPhone is at 17, and let's just say you got them the 15, right? Or no, you got them the 17. And then next year or later this year, the 18 comes out. And they're like, oh, mom or dad, I want the 18. And then you as the parent, instead of saying, instead of managing their expectation to let them know, no, you have a relatively brand new phone. It functions just fine. You have no problems with it. No, I'm not going to keep up with the trend. Instead of saying that, you then just, okay, sure. And you go get them the 18, right? That's not teaching them how to, like, what did they do to get that 18? Did they do anything? No, granted, I'm not here to tell you how to parent your child. I'm just outlining pros and cons of spoiling your children and how that can negatively impact their lives later on, as well as how it can positively be a good thing for them later on in life. So I'm not telling you how to parent your own child, right? Everybody's going to do things their own way. But if you're doing that, just giving them stuff, giving them, yes, then eventually they're going to become very self-centered and entitled. So that's a con to pay attention to when it comes on to spoiling them. The other thing about spoiling your children too, a pro, is that you teach your children how to treat themselves. You teach them how to treat themselves. Like, life is good, life is great, life is beautiful, life is abundant. There's enough in this world for everyone, to include myself. So you're teaching them how to treat themselves well, right? When you grow up and you have your money, buy yourself nice things, go on nice trips, eat good quality foods, etc., etc. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing for them to learn that, what, I deserve something nice. I deserve to have this, whatever it might be. So it's good, because a lot of people, adults, they don't treat themselves, because some of them came from a scarcity background where there wasn't much, there was a lot of lack. And so even as adults with the means, they don't really take care of themselves like that. They don't treat themselves. And it has a lot to do with how they were brought up. So spoiling your kids, a pro of doing that is showing them how to enjoy life to its fullest and how they should treat themselves later on in life when they are adult. So that's another good thing about spoiling your kids. The last point that I'll make regarding a con about spoiling your children is that spoiling them can unintentionally delay their independence. You have some children who age 18, they're off to college, they live in their own apartment or they live on campus, and they're just thriving. They're functioning, they are basically this little person, this little adult, they have a car and they're just living, they're managing life on their own, maybe with your support in the background, but they're managing, they're thriving, right? Well, the con is that they can't function without you, right? It delayed their independence. So, and everybody's journey is not necessarily to leave home at 18 and go off to college or go work or something like that. Everybody's life is different, but maybe you as the parent, by the time they get to 18, 19, 20, you might be ready for them to go off on their own and go do something for themselves, but they might be delayed. That that sense of independence, self-worth, self-confidence, and even their own competence might be delayed, or they might have doubts within themselves because, like, mom and dad did everything for me, right? I don't really know how to do certain things on my own. I don't know how to cook. Yeah, I don't know how to function on my own independently because, I've always had someone to help me out and to do things for me, So, and some kids eventually, as they grow up to become adults, some of them, they learn fast. They just dive right in and they learn, and, because even though they might not know how to do something, or they don't do it very often, or they're not competent at doing it, they're also very observant. So a lot of times they probably are watching you and what you're doing, and then later on be able to apply it. But that's not for everyone. Some people really just lack the ability to do things on their own because they've always had things done for them. So that is a con that could potentially delay their self of sovereignty and their ability just to go off and be independent people and live successfully, especially in the beginning stages. So something to keep in mind. With that being said, that is going to be it for this one, guys. If you have children and you spoil them, or you don't spoil them, or maybe you have that happy balance between spoiling them and also, teaching them the value of effort and reward, whatever your family dynamic is, I would love to hear. I would really love to hear how other people are raising their children and how things are going for them, how it's working out for them. That's something I'm very interested in hearing because everyone does things a little bit differently from the next person. So I would love to hear what people have to say. All right, guys. So thanks again for watching this video. If you've made it this far, that means you are a real fan, and I really appreciate that. So thank you. If you've already subscribed, thank you for subscribing. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. That does help my channel with growth. And until the next video, let us continue to grow, evolve, and transform into the best version of ourselves. Peace.